Let's try and get my cat settled here. The subject for today is public prayers. So, on the TBN UK Channel 65 broadcasts, you can regularly see preachers making public prayers, sometimes with their eyes shut or their arms raised as if confirming their authority over the congregation and the viewers. What does God think about this? Jesus gave clear instructions about prayer in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 6, verse 5. And when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, so that they may appear to men. Truly I say to you that they have their reward. But you, when you pray, enter into your room, and having shut your door, pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will render to you openly. So Jesus' instructions on the matter of prayer are plain. Why do so many people disregard them? Jesus warned about such disobedience. Just a little bit further on in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 7, verse 26. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them, he shall be like a foolish man who built his house upon the sand. And the rain came down, and the streams came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and its fall was great. And in Luke chapter 6, verse 46, Jesus points out that these people were disobeying what he said. The scripture says, "And why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say?" When I attended the Worldwide Church of God, I raised this issue with a senior minister, Mr. David Silcox. His response was that the way Jesus taught was not the only way to pray. But as mentioned above, Jesus stated that if you hear his words and don't do them, you're like a foolish person who has built his or her house on the sand. Jesus' reference to when you pray seems to me to be all-encompassing. People who reason their way out of doing what Jesus clearly said seem to apply an alternative set of instructions. Be just like the hypocrites when you pray, standing out in the open in full view of others, preferably speaking into a microphone or even being broadcast on radio, television or other media, and thereby appearing to be righteous and diverting attention away from your outrageous disobedience. Why would these people want to disregard Jesus' words? Well, as Jesus mentioned, there is a certain reward in praying publicly. For example, deceiving the onlookers by appearing to be righteous when in reality they are nothing of the kind. Jesus said, as recorded in Matthew chapter 23, verse 5, "And all their works they do to be seen by men." Matthew 23 verse 12 says, "And whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted." Jesus denounced those who made lengthy public prayers to cover up their theft of widows' property. It's recorded in Matthew chapter 23 verse 13. "But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you devour the houses of widows, and praying at great length as an excuse." Does God mean what he says? Consider God's warning to the Israelites about disobeying the Ten Commandments. God included among other points that the Israelites would become few in number. It's estimated that about 2 million Israelites came out of Egypt. But the number taken into Babylonian captivity at the fall of Jerusalem is recorded in Jeremiah 52, only 4,600. Percentage wise, that's about a fifth of, I think it's about a fifth of 1%. Similarly, consider the grave consequences of disregarding God's instructions for moving the Ark of the Covenant. It's recorded in 2 Samuel chapter 6, beginning verse 6. When they came to the threshing floor of Nason, Uzzah reached out and took hold of the Ark of God, because the oxen stumbled. The Lord's anger burned against Uzzah because of his irreverent act. Therefore God struck him down, and he died there beside the Ark of God. Moses is recorded as having given in advance a similar warning about disregarding Jesus' words. That's recorded in Deuteronomy chapter 18, beginning verse 15. The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your own brothers. You must listen to him. For this is what you asked of the Lord your God at Horeb on the day of the assembly, when you said, let us not hear the voice of the Lord our God, nor see this great fire any more, or we will die. The Lord said to me, what they say is good. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I command him. If anyone does not listen to my words that the prophet speaks in my name, I myself will call him to account. In churches I have attended, the regular practice included praying in a group, listening in on each other, sometimes holding hands in a circle, calling upon individuals to say a few words in prayer, etc. Where did such practices come from? Not from Jesus, who plainly could see through those who advocated and practiced such nonsense. Is there any record of Jesus calling upon any of the disciples to say a few words in prayer in the hearing of others? No. Is there any record of Jesus saying to his disciples, let us pray? No. You could say there are two basic rules for prayer. Rule number 1, pray in private and in secret, in accordance with what Jesus taught. Rule number 2, pray in public and aloud so that others can hear you. For those who think rule 2 is valid, see rule 1. That's just a jocular way of looking at it.